All right, eighth grade. It's finally time for us to dive into the most infamous equation for slope. And that is known as slope-intercept. Slope-intercept always is written the same way. Y equals mx plus b. Always written this way. First thing to notice, the y is all by itself. It's solved for y. So y equals. Now you see m. Well, think about it. What is m? Okay, the m is the slope. So we have our slope in our equation. It's always attached to x through multiplication, always multiplied to x. And then we have plus b. And the b, well, slope-intercept, the b is the y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y-axis. So far we've talked about how do we have a formula? Like, what is the formula? It's y equals mx plus b. You need to memorize it. And trust me, by the time we get through with this chapter, we will say it enough times that you will have it memorized. So y equals mx plus b. The m is the slope. It's attached to x through multiplication. It's the coefficient of x. The y-intercept is the b. It's the, remember this out here by itself? This is the constant. It does not have a variable, just a number. So that's what we call a constant. In order to be in slope-intercept form, it has to start with y equals. So let's break that down. We today are just going to practice finding the information within. So I want to find the slope. Well, the slope is m. And I want to find the intercept, which is b. So in this equation, y equals 2x plus 10. What is my slope? Well, my slope is attached here, 2x. So my slope is the coefficient, so my slope is 2. My b, my y-intercept. My y-intercept is always the constant, the number without a variable. So here it's plus 10, so this would be a y-intercept of 10. Let's look at our next one. We have y equals, that's perfect, has to be in y equals. And so now I can look to find both my slope and my y-intercept. My slope is the coefficient of x. What number is being multiplied to x? Hopefully you thought 1. Remember, when there's not a coefficient, that just means 1. We have 1x here. And my b, or the constant, what is the constant at the end of this equation? Yeah, -3. It's important that you write it as a negative. When there's subtraction, that means that 3 is negative. Next equation up. Y equals 1/4 x minus 2. 1/4 x minus 2. That does say y equals, so that's great. That means we're already in our slope-intercept form. What is my slope? Yeah, my slope is 1/4. What is my b? What is the constant? There's that 2. What type of 2? -2. So my slope is 1/4. My y-intercept is -2. Next equation, y equals -x. Y equals, perfect. That means I'm in slope-intercept. I can look for my m, my slope, and my b, my y-intercept. So my slope, what is the coefficient of x? Remember that magic 1 when we don't see it? Yeah, my slope here is -1. What is my b? Yeah, that's a little tricky, right? There's nothing written over here. Oh, yeah, that's right. We have a number for nothing. 0. So I could write plus 0 there, but of course that wouldn't be in simplified form. So we have to know, well, we could have had a plus 0 there. So that means that my b would be 0. My next equation, y equals 1/2 x. Y equals, yep, slope-intercept form. I can now go locate my slope and my y-intercept. What is the coefficient of x? Because that's where I find my m. Where's my coefficient of x? In front of x is 1/4. Those are being, not 1/4, 1/2. Those are being multiplied. So that would be 1/2. I need my b. Nothing over here, so remember, it could have been written as plus 0. So that means that my intercept is actually at 0. And I have one more question here. Y equals 6. Y equals 6. This says y equals, so I am in slope-intercept form. So I need a slope and I need a b. The slope is attached to x. Yeah, there's no x. So if there's no x, well, that would mean that my slope would be 0. Hopefully you remember back in the videos before. Hoy, right? Y equals, this is hoy. That means it's a horizontal line with a slope of 0. So m equals 0. And my b, well, my intercept is the constant, or the number without a variable. Yeah, I have one right here. It's 6. So I can say, okay, my b equals 6. So when we're talking about slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, first thing to check, is it in y equals? Has y been all by itself? Then we look. The slope is always attached to x as the coefficient, the number being multiplied to x. And the y-intercept in the formula b is the constant, the number that doesn't have a variable, that is also on the same side as mx. Okay, so now that we've identified the parts, let's see, can we write an equation in slope-intercept form if we know the m and the b? Can we turn this information into y equals mx plus b? Well, let's try it. I'm going to just start by writing it so I know exactly where everything goes. Y equals mx plus b. So y equals, what is my m? Now you're like, m, it doesn't say m. You're right, it doesn't. It says slope. Remember, slope is m and y-intercept is b. So I'm going to put that 1/2 in for my slope, x. My y-intercept is 4. So I'd say, well, plus 4. Let's look at our next one. Slope is -2, y-intercept is -1. So I'm going to go ahead and write my formula so I line everything up where it needs to be. Y equals mx. What is my m? Slope, -2. So -2x. Do not forget to write the x. The x has to be there. And then I have a y-intercept of -1. So we could write plus -1, but typically we would just write that as subtract 1, right? That 1 is negative, so subtract 1. Okay, here's my next one. Y equals mx plus b. Always best to write the formula first. Y equals, what is my slope? And 0. So I write 0x plus 3. There's my b. Y-intercept was 3. But here's kind of the thing. We don't write 0x anymore, right? See that there, that 0x? What is 0 times anything? And I do mean anything. 0 times anything is just 0. So this is like saying y equals 0 plus 3. And 0 plus 3 is 3. So you would just have y equals 3. Here's our last equation, y equals mx plus b. So y equals, what is m? Slope. Slope is right up here. Remember we said m, that means monter, so that's to climb, that's our slope. 4x plus y-intercept is 0, so plus 0. Again, this is not simplified. We don't write plus 0 at the end of all of our equations when there's not a constant. We just write y equals 4x because as mathematicians we know that if I had to add a number on, it would be plus 0. So today was all about identifying that y equals mx plus b. Say that again. Y equals mx plus b. Sorry, I didn't hear y'all. Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Y equals mx plus b. You need to know that formula. And that is known as slope-intercept because we have a slope. What are my directions? And we have an intercept. Where does it start on the y-axis?